Good morning to everyone who is joining us live. We are the Going On Daily Live Morning Show. It is the Saturday crew. I am Ira, and I am honored to be here with my friends. Good morning, Lana Williams.
Good morning, Ira Mark.
And good morning in the cold of Montana, JP Marsh.
Morning.
Good morning, JP.
So,
Morning.
we were just complaining about how cold it is, but winter's coming. There's nothing we can do about it. Just drink your coffee and we'll muddle through with it.
Yeah.
Let's get all the socials out of the way, please. If you're going to watch us live and you want to tell your friends, this is where we watch you live. You can go to YouTube. You can go to Rumble. You can go to Kick. And it's at Rhode Island Broadcasting. If you're on Twitch, it's Twitch at RI_broadcasting. If you just want to take us with you, don't have time to look at our pretty faces, but you want to hear all of our content, then audio only is for you. You go to Spotify, Red Circle, TuneIn, or iHeartRadio at RI Broadcasting. At Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, it's at Broadcasting RI. Follow us on our socials. We're on TikTok. We're on MeWe. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Parler. We're on LinkedIn. It's at Rhode Island Broadcasting. The show, Going On Daily Morning Show, we have our own Facebook page. You want to visit us there, and it's at Going On Daily Morning Show. We also have a Patreon, and at Patreon, you can buy some merch. See our lovely little logo right there. It looks great on a mug, on a pen, on a magnet. You can support the show. It's awesome. You go to Patreon at RI Broadcasting. And here we go. Finally, the kicker. The whole network has a website where you can find all this information. It's RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net. You can check out all the shows that are on the Rhode Island Broadcasting Network. I have another show. Lena, I understand you're going to be bringing another show.
I am. I cannot give you the title. We're still working that out because I'm
still
working with a new partner.
On it.
So yes, that's coming up and everything, the website and all that. So I would say follow. I guess follow my. I guess follow my Facebook because that's probably the best place to find it. But I think they're gonna probably run it here. I'm gonna probably have Rhode Island Broadcasting put it here too. So you'll just
awesome.
Stay with this and you'll find it.
There are other shows and you want to check those out. And also on that page, there is a Hall of Fame vote right now. The question is, which actor should be in the Going On Daily Hall of Fame? And you can see on the bottom right there, we have our choices: Philip Seymour Hoffman, Tom Hanks, Robin Williams, Sean Penn, or Gene Hackman. So place your vote. At the end of the month, we'll find out who should be going into our Hall of Fame. Guys, I'm going to start the show with, did you know we all lost something this week?
What's that?
I don't even know if you're aware of it. But as of a couple of days ago, there will be no more pennies made at the U.S. Mint. There are no more pennies.
Yep.
Does everybody have like a jar of coins or something?
Yeah, there's supposed to be. I don't know the whole detail, but there's supposed to be a place you can go and give them to somebody if you still have them. But yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, I forget. It's probably within each person's state, and they're gonna make some announcement that they're gonna collect the rest of the pennies from everybody who's got these big jars sitting in their house that they've had for years. But yeah, it's kind of about time because it could cost more to make them than it does to.
It costs 3.7 cents to make a penny, so they got rid of it. But did you know that it costs 13 cents to make a nickel?
Yeah, that's the next one. I think they're working on getting rid of, which is fair.
Which is kind
eventually.
It's kind of scary though, because it's just pushing us more and more away from to a cashless society.
No, it's true. It's true. Well, hopefully we can keep some of the cash. Let's keep some of it and just get rid of the small.
Yeah, but if they keep saying that it costs more to make it than it's worth, then they'll just get rid of it all, and then there's no more lawnmower boys. There's no more grandma's giving you $20 in a birthday card. Everything's taxed, everything's tracked because it's all going to be digital. And that's a scary thing to think about because, I live in rural America where cash still is king. I mean,
right.
Really?
Well, yeah, people, I have a kid that I pay that comes and mows the yard and stuff, and I just give him cash. And if they start tracking everything, then I have to start claiming all of these things and doing all this stuff on my taxes. Same as like PayPal. If you pay somebody, whatever they were saying, I don't know if it's gone into effect or when it goes into effect, but if you send more than like $300 or $500 in once or $600 or something like that, the person that receives it has to claim it on their taxes.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that firsthand. $599 exactly.
Is that what it is?
Wow.
That's what it is.
So like when I do my rent, I send it in 2 payments to her so that she doesn't have to claim all of the rent all year on her taxes as income.
Pay her twice in the same year. It doesn't matter. If it adds up to that, then she's got to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep.
Unless,
but
I think.
Yeah.
I think we've come up with a topic that we need to discuss a little further, but
1099.
It is military week.
Yes.
Right.
So we have our topics today. It's Saturday, November 15th. Like I said, we're going to finish up military week, and here's what we want you to know. Lena,
I guess it starts with me. First of all, I have to say I'm a military kid. My dad has a Purple Heart from Vietnam. He did. I'm sorry. He's no longer with us, and neither is my mother. My mother was also a naval wave out of Quonset Point, and I am a kid that was born on an actual Navy hospital. So
wow.
There you go. And I had to do one more thing real quick. There was a Weymouth, Massachusetts native that was killed in World War II. He had been classified as missing for like 1944. Since 1944, they finally found the remains of him, and they flew him in to Logan, I think, this past Saturday, and they had a funeral for him. His name was Thomas Langevin, and I think he may have been one of the last guys that they were looking for. So I just wanted to bring that up. He had a funeral home in Weymouth. There's a funeral home in Weymouth that did a little ceremony for him and all that. So I just wanted to say that was nice that we could close that book.
Yes.
So what I'm going to talk about are just some women who have served, some famous women who have served. And you may or may not have known these, but I just thought it was interesting to go over this for people who did not know that, right? So I'll start with Harriet Tubman, who is famous for the Underground Railroad.
Right.
But anyway, she was part of the Civil War. So her and Colonel James Montgomery led a group of soldiers in freeing slaves from plantations in South Carolina. And so she was the first woman in U.S. history to lead a military expedition, according to National Geographic.
Didn't they call her the Colonel?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, some
wow.
people did know this history. Some people didn't. She received compensation for her military contributions decades later in 1899. Thomas B. Allen, the author of the Harriet Tubman Secret Agent, called Tubman one of the greatest heroines of the Civil War. And if you get a chance to look into that, that's pretty interesting. Also, I think we all know Queen Elizabeth was a truck driver during World War II. And this would have been, I think she was 18 years. Yeah, she was 18 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She begged her father, King George VI, to take part in helping out in World War II. It's funny because I'll have to look into it a little more, but I think there's a history of people that were just seeing what was going on in the world and saying, I want to be part of that. I don't know if that's something that once the draft happened, I think that may have killed off that whole thing. Where people were just like, I want to be part of history. But she was one of those people who begged her parents to let her go. She joined the Women's Auxiliary Territorial Service in England that same year. She was known for the second subaltern Elizabeth Windsor, according to National Archives. Right. So while serving, she drove military trucks and she trained as a mechanic, which is I just love. It shouldn't matter. Women should be able to get under cars and fix them, but then I don't feel like they do it enough. So whenever I hear women
back
doing
then,
that kind of stuff, that's so cool.
That wasn't the norm.
Including building stuff for the wars and things like that. I just think that's cool. So anyway, she was the only female member of the royal family to enter the armed forces. And she should have not been the last, but that's another story. NASA's Eileen Collins, the first female pilots in the Air Force in space. So it's just a kind of a recognition on that. She broke several barriers during her career. Not only was she the NASA's first female shuttle commander, but at 23, she became the Air Force's first female flight instructor. Again, very cool. Joined the Air Force in 1978, becoming one of the first 4 women to go through pilot training in Vance Air Force Base in Oklahoma, Enid, Oklahoma. And she wrote in Time magazine, the Air Force was testing whether women could succeed as military pilots. It's funny that there was a time that people were like, let's put women in a situation. Can they do this? Like that they found it to be, you know what I mean? We know now better than that, right? But at the time,
Yes.
If they don't bake a cake, are they going to be okay?
Well, they used to categorize a lot of people. It's
Yeah,
just like,
it's just kind of
can't
like when
do
you
that.
look back at stuff like that and how like rudimentary it is. It's just kind of funny.
Yep.
So we were obviously living in a fishbowl. Everybody knew who we were, our personal business, and our test scores and our flight performance. And my philosophy was to be the best pilot I could be. Her military training directly led her to test pilot school, where she knew she would go on to be the first female space shuttle pilot, and she succeeded. Did you know B. Arthur served?
I did not.
I did.
You did? Okay.
Mhm.
She was one of the first members of the Marine Corps Women's Reserve. Again, so cool.
I would have guessed Marines, though, if you had asked. Which
Now tell
branches
me
of
why.
service.
I don't know. She was no nonsense, which is really cool. And yes, that's
Oh, that is her.
well on the left. On the left side of what? Because this is my right.
I'm thinking on the right for him.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
There might be pictures on the left that I can't see because I have the screen kind of inched in a little bit, so I didn't know if there was actually something I missed. She was Dorothy. Was born on Golden Girls, which we all know. But she was also a Marine. She was enlisted in a women's reserve when she was 21 years old. She first served as a typist and a truck driver.
Of course.
She worked her way up to staff sergeant and was honorably discharged in 1945. There were some documents that show that she was argumentative, which, like I said, if you were, women know this. So when I say that, they're going to be like, whatever. But when argumentative, they're not called that. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we know.
Which is not a far cry from the feisty persona that she became known for on both the Golden Girls and Maude. And I don't know about anybody else, but Maude is also one of my favorite shows. I'm old enough to have been watching Maude when it was on, so there you go.
Me too.
If you're into Jennifer Marshall from Stranger Things, she served in the U.S. Navy for 5 years. I don't know if you knew that. And I don't know if you watch Stranger Things. We may all be, I actually have not seen it. And I know a little bit about Jennifer Marshall, but not enough to be an expert. She scored the role of Susan Hargrove on Netflix's Stranger Things, but she served in the United States Navy from 17 to 22. That's a good chunk. According to Marshall's website, during her service, she was a forklift operator. So cool. Aircraft handler and logistics specialist. She also worked from the USS Theodore Roosevelt's Sexual Assault Victim Intervention Program.
Wow.
Which is needed for certain situations. Marshall was awarded many honors and medals for her time in the Navy. Now, in addition to acting, she works with pinups for vets. I'm so interested in anybody who works with veterans at all for anything. So that's so cool. A nonprofit organization that aids hospitalized veterans and deployed troops. So then there's this is a Business Insider article, by the way, and I'm just kind of going over it. So let me give them credit. Food Network star Sunny Anderson, if somebody's interested in the Food Network and watches it at all, she was in the Air Force.
Nice.
She hosts the Kitchen and Cooking for Real and Homemade in America. Grew up around the military because of her parents. As an adult, she enlisted in the U.S. Air Force as a radio broadcaster and a journalist, working in Seoul, South Korea, and in San Antonio. So she said, I knew there were radio stations, television stations, newspapers, and magazines for the military, by the military, and I wanted to be a part of that, which is actually a very cool little network of its own. And that was in 2013 that she told someone at ABC News. She also wanted to train in something that would be useful when she left the military, which is fair. My transition from the Air Force started before I even got in the Air Force. And then we've got Robin Quivers, and she's one of my favorite people, Robin.
There you go.
She was a captain in the Air Force. And everybody knows Robin Quivers from the Howard Stern show, or you should, if you don't. She's been with them over 30 years. But anyway, she was a captain in the U.S. Air Force. She got her degree in nursing from the University of Maryland and put it to use by joining the military as a second lieutenant after college. Quickly climbed the ranks, and when she was discharged in 1978, her official title was captain. So she served as a reserve in the Air Force until 1990. For her per records, after which she fully pivoted into radio. But Howard Stern hired her for his show in 1981. I can't believe it's been that long. I just can't. Though she was inactive, she was still technically serving while she was on the air, when you think about it, right? So that's kind of cool.
Right.
Zule Hanao. Now, do you know who that is?
I don't.
Do you know anything about Army Wives?
I never watched it. You're
show.
talking about the show?
Yeah. She served in the U.S. Army for 3 years. And I'm not the biggest reality show person, but I know a lot of people who watch stuff like Army Wives and things like that. So anyway, she appeared on Army Wives, but she herself served in the U.S. Army before becoming an actor. And she enlisted after completing high school after 3 years of serving. She went on to enroll at the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. She previously spoke to the paparazzi about her time in the military. She said she wouldn't be doing what she was doing, and she wouldn't have the perspective she had of the world if it wasn't for the Army, which is true, you know. Olympic bobsledder, Shauna Robach.
I know the name.
She was in the 2006 Winter Olympics in Italy. She won a silver medal. She joined the Utah Army National Guard. And was just part of the National Guard Outstanding Athlete Program. I don't know, unless some people, I mean, it's true that a lot of people maybe don't pay attention to the lesser medals, and I'm not sure if that's true in her case, so maybe not everybody knows her. But anyway, she was in the National Guard, part of the National Guard Outstanding Athlete Program, and then we're moving on. Olympian Amber English competed while she was still in the military. She won gold in women's skeet shooting in 2020. And she was at the Olympics in Tokyo, right? At her first Olympics, Lieutenant Amber English took gold with an Olympic record score of 56. Technically not yet a veteran, she is a logistics officer and member of the Army Marksmanship Units. Very cool.
She's a ringer.
Huh?
She's a ringer.
Right.
I mean, she shoots
exactly.
professionally.
It makes sense. It makes sense. But after her win, Lloyd Austin congratulated her. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin congratulated her on Twitter, now known as X or whatever you want to call it. Your country is extremely proud of you today, and I'm so glad you're representing us, he wrote. She joins an illustrious list of medal winners, both male and female, with military backgrounds. Gal Gadot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Everybody might know her. She played Wonder Woman. She served in the Israel Defense Forces for 2 years, which I did not know.
Israel, they all do. It's their civic duty.
Right.
2 years.
They don't join the military. I don't think they all have the civic duty of, you know, because the same guy, one of the guys that's on The Boys, he was same kind of situation because he was in the Israeli, the one that plays Frenchie. And that's how I learned that some countries, it's your civic duty. Everybody serves.
Yeah, they just have that in South Korea.
I think
South Korea, where they had all the members of BTS, and because I listened to all the pop culture stuff, and all of them had to join. There are certain countries.
I will say that I did know that some countries did that for their males, but I didn't know females were automatically.
And by the way, it wouldn't be a bad thing to have that in this country.
No, I agree. I mean, it just to do something because it forces you into a situation where you get out of your element, which people need to do. College, whatever it is, you go away, retreats, things like that, where you leave your neighborhood and you go somewhere where you deal with diverse individuals and learn about people from other places is a good place. It's a good whatever. So
I think it'd be a better solution for the U.S. prison system. To get the option to do that.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that I agree with that. That there would be twofold on that, right? But anyway, we go down the road with that. But
but like
I said, I just wasn't sure. I didn't know that women would have been drafted. And like I said, specific countries, I guess, do that. But I thought that they definitely did it with males, but I didn't know as much about females. So anyway, so it says she served her mandatory 2 years in the IDF. During her assignment, she worked as a physical fitness specialist, which is cool, teaching gymnastics and calisthenics to soldiers. She pro-Palestine groups have criticized her service as well as her support of the military and causing, we're getting into a bunch of stuff that we know is going on right now. I think much of it comes from ignorance of people not understanding what most people do in the army in Israel, or what I did in the army during my service in the military. I'm sure you would, Ron. Whoever that's Ron, isn't it? I can't see who's saying what. I can only see comments.
That's Ron.
But she told the Jakarta Post that she doesn't think anybody really understands the whole, the context of it. Being an Israeli and going to the army is an integral thing. It's something you have to do. It's mandatory, which we just discussed. Ruth Westheimer. I'm not too surprised by this.
I knew that. Yeah.
I knew a little bit about. I didn't know anything about the details. I just kind of knew, but I'm not, of course, surprised. I think she was a Holocaust survivor. She's been around for a long time, right? So she's trained as a sniper, which that's the part I didn't know.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So after World War II, she moved as a teenager to what would have been or would become Israel. And during her time there, she trained as a sniper due to her small size, it makes sense.
It's amazing.
So she told the New Yorker in 2013, I have no idea what the experience would be if I had to show it, but I was a very good sniper. And it is true. Like, how would you, I guess, how would you prove something like that other than whatever your certifications are or your medals or your certificates? So, but anyway, these are 12 women who served in the military, and you may or may not have known about them, but I thought that was a pretty cool little article. There are hundreds of thousands of women that are famous in different ways that have served. That's just 12 that I thought would be interesting. So, yeah.
Oh, Betty White also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Betty White did as well. And like I said, there's so many people that have, and I think I read about Betty White, and I think she did the same. She drove truck and a couple of other things, and also we all know, Marilyn Monroe at one time was building airplanes. So, and it's the truth. I don't know that she was in the service, but I know she was definitely on the assembly line, which is a cool thing,
Right.
So, yeah.
And thank you for their service.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to move on. JP, you're taking on a different branch of people that have served.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, and some of them, I mean, musicians who've served, like anything else, there's a bunch that you know of. You have your Elvis Presley, who joined and was super, publicized during World War II. Jimi Hendrix obviously was in Vietnam. Everybody knew that when they did Woodstock, all that stuff. And then you got some that maybe are a little bit less known. You got your Willie Nelson was in the Air Force. Chris Christopherson was in the Army.
Yep.
Johnny Cash was in the Air Force. A lot of the Midwestern, I mean, in rural America, most people end up joining the military out of high school, especially ones that weren't really interested in college back in the day. Bill Withers, Marvin Gaye, Craig Morgan, George Strait, Johnny Paycheck, Charlie Daniels, Jerry Garcia. Ice-T was in the U.S. Army.
Wait, Jerry Garcia was in what branch of the military?
U.S. Army.
Really? I would have loved to have seen that.
I know. He probably
Ice-T, MC Hammer.
Anything like he wouldn't have looked anything like he did later.
Yeah.
Wait, MC Hammer was in the Army?
Was in the Navy. Which makes a lot of sense because the Boneyard was in Oakland for the naval fleet. So, he was probably a Navy housing kid, to be honest. Shaggy was in the U.S. Marines. Maynard James Keenan from Tool was in the U.S. Army. B.B. King was in the Army. John Prine. Fred Durst was in the Navy.
God, I'm surprised.
George Jones was in the Marines.
Yeah.
Gene Simmons from KISS was in the Israeli Defense Forces.
Yes.
Yep.
Jerry Reed. John Denver was in the U.S. Air Force family, served in Air Force ROTC, partial service.
Didn't know that.
James Blunt was in the British Army.
Oh,
the Big Bopper was in the U.S. Army.
I'm going to say yes, actually, Ron. I do believe. I don't know that it was.
Well, there was
on
an Army
purpose.
guy, wasn't there?
Yeah, I do know that some of those guys served. I just don't know where, But
Okay.
But some of them were surprising. Some of them are, a lot. There's quite a few country singers that were in the army, armed forces of some sort. I guess Fred Durst, Shaggy, Ice-T. Some of those were the more surprising ones to me. And then there's probably I would say that a lot of the armed forces and military guys probably all play instruments and stuff like that, especially when they get deployed. Half the time they're just kind of sitting there staring at the wall, And so I would assume that a lot of those guys probably learn how to play instruments and do a lot of those kinds of things.
Yep.
I'm sure the guy with the guitar overseas is very, in demand because listen and play. It's something to do. Like you said, there's a lot of waiting.
Mm-hmm.
But Elvis was drafted. Was that he didn't sign up, right?
It was.
I remember.
I think he was drafted, but it was World War II, wasn't it? It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't Vietnam or Korea.
No, it was World War II.
But it was a deal where it was a big, it was a big TV event when he went in there and got his buzz cut and they cut his hair and he went through and did the stuff. I mean, it's not like they sent Elvis Presley to D-Day or anything like that, but
no.
And then there's been, different actors and musicians. Christopher Lee, who was really well known as, the White Wizard on Lord of the Rings. And he's been he's got the Guinness Book of Records for movies made. He was also in a heavy metal band. And he was in the British Armed Forces or special something. And so I had always heard, and there's the speculation, I guess, to an extent, was Christopher Lee was essentially one of the inspirations for James Bond because Christopher Lee's cousin is Fleming, who wrote James Bond.
Right.
Fleming was also oversaw Gus. I can never say his last name right, but Van March or something. They just made the movie with Henry Cavill and Alan Ritchson last year, the Ungentlemanly Warfare, the League of Ungentlemanly Warfare, or Ministry or whatever. And so
I saw that
Fleming, the assistant to the main guy that recruits those guys, he's the guy that wrote all the James Bond books. So the two guys that were his inspiration for James Bond was Gus Van March, or however you say his last name, and Christopher Lee. But Christopher Lee had a super interesting life. I mean, he was engaged to a princess for a while. He was knighted. He was in a Norwegian thrash metal band, I think, which seems, cool, it's cool, but you wouldn't have thought that was his kind of music necessarily. And he was 6'5". I mean, he was that presence on screen and off screen. I mean, he was that guy.
Wow.
Oh.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, God.
That's all the musicians that I could come up with today anyway.
That's fine. Again, thank them for their service.
Absolutely.
So I guess we will move on to mine. And my category was going to be sports stars who served in the military. Now, I wanted to focus more on people who joined up because, as we know, there were a lot of players who were drafted. They were taken out of their sports and brought over and then came back. But I wanted to focus more on people who they already had the money. They were already, this was their job. And then they decided for one reason or another to sign up. I'm going to start off with my favorite one, actually. And this was in basketball. the name David Robinson, if you know him, the Admiral.
The Admiral. Yeah.
Yeah, what I loved about him, he graduated from the Naval Academy, so of course he had to serve his 2 years of active duty before he went over and played for the San Antonio Spurs. What was really interesting is he said is that he wanted to be put in a combat situation, but because he was 7'1", there was no way he couldn't do it. They would put him on the boats. They would, he's not going in a submarine. They would put him on the boats, and they were just made for smaller people. So he wanted to serve, but couldn't. Then there's a gentleman that I don't know if anybody's heard of. His name is Tim James. He played for just 2 years in the NBA. He played for the Heat, the Hornets, and the Sixers. And at the end of that time, he tried to play overseas and then just thought, is this what I want to do with my life? And he thought and said, no, I want to help my country. He could have gotten more money. He could have hung around and played in the NBA or overseas, but he enlisted in the U.S. Army and he served in Iraq.
That's a cool story.
Good for him. In Major League Baseball, like I said, there were a lot of players who were drafted. There was Ted Williams, who actually was drafted and taken out of the Red Sox. But then he went back again for himself for the Korean War at 33 years old and just said, no, this is what I want. That's what I'm saying. Ted served twice. The first time he was drafted, but the second time he took it upon himself to say, I want to enlist.
Yeah.
So that was a great thing. Hank Greenberg played for the Detroit Tigers. At 29, he had already been playing baseball for like 7 years. And in 1941, before Pearl Harbor, he decided, I want to help my country, and enlisted for 4 years of combat. When again, he was playing for the Detroit Tigers.
Right.
He didn't have to do it, wasn't drafted, but he decided that was the right thing to do. And then I have Bob Feller from the Cleveland Indians. At 33, he volunteered for the Navy the day after Pearl Harbor. He just immediately enlisted and served 4 years in combat. And again, he had a job, didn't have to do it, wasn't drafted, went in to do that. Let's see. I know I thought I had another sport. Okay. Then we're moving on to football, where Roger Staubach, who was quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, again, he graduated the Naval Academy, so it is expected that he was going to serve his 2 years. But while they offered him, because they knew he was going to be playing pro football, they offered him the office jobs. He volunteered to go to combat. He served 4 years of active duty when he was only required to do 2. Again, these people, I have Alexandra Villanueva from the Pittsburgh Steelers. 22, graduated from West Point and played for the Steelers. But before he did that, he became a U.S. Army Ranger and served 3 tours of duty in Afghanistan before he decided to play for the Steelers. So you have this job waiting for you. You're only required to do 2 years, but he felt it in his heart that he wanted to help. 3 tours. You can't say enough about him.
Very cool.
Then again, there's Rocky Bleier, Pittsburgh Steelers. He played 1 year in the NFL and said, nope, I need to go help my country. What happened to him, he was wounded in combat. There was a grenade that went off near him. He was told he would never play football again. So he played 1 year, went to the military, got wounded, worked his ass off, and played 6 more seasons for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then, of course, we're getting to the last one, which people point to a lot because it's more in our recent memory. I think JP already knows where I'm going. And there we go. Ron knows. And that is Pat Tillman. Played for the Arizona Cardinals. Played 2 years in the NFL. Was a starter. had his money ready and decided at 24 years old, this is not for me anymore. Became a U.S. Army Ranger, was deployed in Afghanistan, and unfortunately was killed at age 27. And people in the NFL still honor him.
Right.
For
well, he was a bit different because it was the wave. I mean, I knew tons of people that I worked with and was, when September 11th happened and then everybody just enlisted. I mean, I couldn't go or enlist, but I think like a third of the people that worked where I worked enlisted, within the 6 months after September 11th or within a couple of years, and had military careers and stuff like that. His was a deal because he was on a rookie contract, but he was going to be one of the best linebacker safeties that in the game. Tillman was. I mean, he didn't need to. He didn't but he chose to, and then ultimately ended up, being killed in action. And so it wasn't a draft kind of deal. I mean, it was just a, more of an inspiration of service kind of deal than what you typically get from athletes and actors and musicians and stuff like that of, it's everybody else's problem to try to take care of this issue. He was proactively stepped up and did what every normal American would do. You know what I mean? He's not preaching to go be of service and go do this. I'm going to start a nonprofit, but you go risk your life, or, I'm going to drive a Prius. Now you need to quit heating up your home, that kind of stuff. It wasn't necessarily as much social signaling as it was. He just put his head down and did it.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry. By the way, since I want to thank my father, who also served in the Korean War. He was in the Army. He was a radio man, and he's not with us anymore, but I want to thank him for his service. There are so many people in the entertainment industry who, like you said, you didn't know when both of you were reading off your list. I went, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know this. I didn't know that one.
Some of them, the World War II era guys, especially in baseball, because, football wasn't really around yet. Some of the other sports hadn't really came around. But, Yogi Berra stormed Normandy on D-Day.
Yep.
And, he still ended up with 9 World Series rings. Like Ron had said, imagine Ted Williams' stats if he wouldn't have missed 7 years in his prime.
True.
Joe DiMaggio served.
They were drafted, yeah.
They were drafted, served. But it wasn't like an Elvis kind of situation where they went to an Army base in Kansas and hung out, and that was, it was all PR kind of deals. These guys were, Ted Williams was a fighter pilot who crashed. He almost lost his life in action. But it was the same kind of deal, World War II. And September 11th were the same kind of deal because there was a spark that ignited the willingness to serve that is typically fairly dormant in the U.S. You had all these people come out of the woodworks in both. And my great grandpa was in Pearl Harbor when it got bombed. Supposedly, the only thing he never talked about it, and we didn't know. And it was one of those things I learned or pieced together long after he'd passed away, but my whole childhood, he had a hula dancer on his forearm tattooed. And when we were young, he could make her dance. And that's all we really ever remember. But, it makes a lot of sense now when you find out that he was in Pearl Harbor.
Absolutely. Oh, we do look back on all those times when there are major events. And that's sometimes what awakens spirit to go to enlist. So there is a list, like we said, we've gone over people who, thank God, have done this before.
Yep.
You know what? I'm sitting here and I'm going, we have never burned through 3 topics before.
Well, it was very important that we got it in today.
It was important that we got it in.
We did it. Should we celebrate? This is a kind of a big thing. And with 3 of us.
Right.
Yes. give ourselves a hand for that.
Perhaps there's an alternate universe going on here.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Well, it does work out because I did have a hard out today.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
does anybody have another topic to discuss?
Not really. I mean, I got everything I had to say in. I actually thought I was going to be over from the extra stuff I threw in. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I did put aside some stuff about Rhode Island, but nobody really cares about that. I mean, that's not necessarily like it's a small state, so it's not really anything interesting for everybody else. But
Oh, see, now I
That's a
see what's
thing.
going to go over. And it's going to be interesting because it's military week and we're finishing up.
right,
And it is important to get the information out there and people should
Mhm.
know. We came up short this episode.
well, we actually did a
Next
whole lot
week-
though this week. So
That's true. Everybody
we're
does.
trailing 7 days of this.
That's true. We're always at the end.
Mhm.
Next week is TV week. And what I think is interesting is I guarantee we're going over.
Oh, let's make it
Probably.
a mission to not do that.
Oh, no, that's going to happen. You know it's going to happen.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll try.
So
We'll try.
since he's put up the little chyron there, I want to thank everyone who watched all week and especially today. On behalf of JP and Lena and myself, I want to thank you for doing that. Check out all of our socials. Lena, do you have something to plug? I know it's coming up, like you said earlier, but you want to give out your Facebook?
Yeah, so my Facebook it's Lena DJ Lena Williams. If you're watching, if you have my Facebook, you're watching me live on that at the moment. But yeah, that's it. It's I can type it out or spell it out for you. I gotta have Ron put it up as a link because I think he puts up my TikTok, which I barely use. But anyway, I'm working on that. But yeah, that between that and my my regular YouTube, but like I said, all of it's tied in together. So I would say for now, I still have up my old podcast with my buddy Dave. So let's go there and check that out. And that would be www.lanandave.com. And I will have a whole new bunch of stuff with the new guy by the name of my buddy Willie, and I are going to get together and do something. So that'll be up. But in the meantime, I'll make sure that I plug it all in those places. So make sure you
Good.
stay with my Facebook and make sure you stay with our old podcast and everything. You'll get all your news there as far as what's going to happen. I think
JP,
December
do you have
1st, we're
anything
looking
to
to
plug?
drop one. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think so. I'm always looking for guests. So if you want to come on my podcast, send me a message on Instagram.
Well, plug the name of the podcast.
Oh, Marsh Talks.
There you go.
What's it?
Yeah,
Say
you
that
go to
again.
Marsh
I didn't
Talk.
hear that. What is it?
Marsh Talks.
I can't. You say it really fast. How do you spell it? Or
Marsh Talks.
Oh, talks. I gotcha.
His last name?
Talks.
Marsh
I'm
Talks.
talking really quick, man.
Yeah.
I got
Marsh
it.
Talks.
Yep.
And they're not talking about the Marsh. He is Marsh. So
Yep.
there you go.
Yes. Good point again.
Mine is the Circling the Drain podcast, and it is on this network, so you can see it there. Or you could just Google Circling the Drain podcast. You'll see a little cartoon version of me and my cohorts, and you want to listen to that. Be sure to join us on Monday, where it's going to be starting TV week. Becky and Chuck. So no tomorrow show. No Kenny and Ron tomorrow. Okay. Hey, they deserve some time off. So Becky and Chuck are going to be starting TV week. And maybe at night. Ooh.
Wow.
So be aware there may be a special episode tomorrow night. Remember, if you need some fun, join us because we have it going on daily. Thank you for your service.